What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? I am the Sports Judge. Welcome to another episode of Speaking with Judgment, hosted by myself, the Sports Judge. And I have my good friend here with me tonight, joining me for another episode, Trey. Trey is knowledgeable. He knows his NBA stuff really well. And that's what we're going to dive into tonight. We're going to talk NBA basketball because the playoffs are heating up. And we just had a game that wrapped up just now, and that was the Nuggets and the Suns. Now, the Nuggets, they fall tonight. The Phoenix Suns have tied this series, so now it's a ball game. It's a brand new series. The Phoenix Suns win by a final score of 129-124. Devin Booker had 36 points and 12 assists. Kevin Durant also had 36 points. It's crazy that both of them finished with 36 points in this game. But hey, it's a new series now. The Phoenix Suns are for real, and they have extended the series. Trey, man, what are your thoughts about the Phoenix Suns, man? Because I thought it was over for a second there. It looked like the series was over. The Phoenix Suns, they responded. They have bounced back. They protected home court. What a game for the Phoenix Suns.
It was a great performance by the Phoenix Suns tonight. They got 36 from Kevin Durant. They got 36 from Devin Booker. And I thought Shamet did a great. Can you hear me, Jonathan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I thought Shamet did. Okay. I thought Shamet did a great job. He stepped up and also performed well. So I thought all around for the Suns, them being able to get some production from Shamet.
You're cutting in and out, Trey.
Really helped Devin Booker and Kevin Durant.
You're cutting in and out.
And I thought Devin Booker quarter kept tied. Is that better? Is that better?
Still cutting in and out.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yeah, but you're right. Hey, look, the Phoenix Suns, they took a 98-92 lead into the fourth quarter after a scoring flurry from Booker. Booker changed the complexion of this game. The momentum shifted when he got going. He had 17 points in the third quarter, so he ignited the offense. That's quite obvious that he was the game changer, right? And this is a guy who scores in spurts. He can take over a basketball game. He can get hot at any time in the game. And that's the beauty of having a player like Devin Booker, right? When you have a scorer like Devin Booker who can just pile up the scoreboard. And that's what we saw tonight. He lit up the scoreboard. He was phenomenal in that third quarter. And that's when the game kind of shifted. And that's when the Phoenix Suns kind of took control of the game. They were in the driver's seat after he got going. And that's what's, I guess, special about this Phoenix Suns team, right? They're never out of it. They always find a way. And Booker, man, he was hot once again. He shot 14 of 18 from the field, including 3 of 4 on three-pointers. And then you said it. Shaman, how you say his name? I always have trouble saying his name. Shamet. He finished with 19 points, shooting 5 of 8 on 3. So he was big down the stretch as well, And I kind of feel like Jokic's performance went to waste because, man, he was incredible. He was having his way. It seemed like it. The guy was having his way. Denver lost despite a huge game from the MVP runner-up. You know, he poured in 53 points. That goes quietly because, of course, the Phoenix Suns won the game.
Yeah.
It was a great individual effort by Jokic, but obviously it wasn't enough to win the game. Jokic used his physical play to knock down several buckets. I thought he was good from the outside. He was good inside the paint.
Yeah.
He was knocking down difficult shots. He looked really, really good. He even ripped the ball away from Suns owner at one point in the game, which kind of turned out to be a fracas a bit. Had, you know, things kind of got out of hand there. Order was restored really quickly. And that was a bizarre scene, by the way. That was a very bizarre scene, but that just shows you how tough of a player Jokic is and his mindset and how his aggressive scoring can set a pivotal tone. And that's what you see from Jokic all the time, right? Jokic makes it look so incredibly easy. I mean, this is a guy who can drag his team to the playoffs. At least he showed us that before in the past. But you can't take away anything that Devin Booker did. Devin Booker was absolutely a beast. And I mean, that speaks volumes to where his mindset is and the type of player he is. He has kind of taken on that leadership role. He understands his role. He knows what's expected of him. And he played an all-around game. It was a great performance by Devin Booker. And I'm telling you, that is what changed the game because he was just unstoppable in that third quarter. And I mean, this is a guy who plays with a lot of heart. And he plays with a lot of poise, right? He plays with a lot of poise, and you know, everything has come together for him. Everything has come together. You can see the maturity and you know how this guy has really, really performed. We got commenters here, Trey. Both had double doubles, and Ayton was one basket and 2 rebounds away from one himself. You know, Ayton is not a scrub. Let's get that straight. He's not a bona fide scrub. The thing with him is that he could be a little inconsistent and he could look soft when he's up against other big men.
Yep.
Now's not the time to be soft. Now's the time that you show up and you play your game. And what we saw tonight from the Phoenix Suns was their 2 superstars. And they were great individually in stretches of the game. They took over when they needed to. And what I'm seeing is that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are starting to look like a 1-2 punch together. That's what I'm seeing when I watch this team. And this Phoenix Suns team looks as good as advertised. They're locked in. They're laser focused. And you know, you have an elite offense with those 2 guys on the floor.
Yeah, I think, Jonathan, the biggest reason why you can hear me, right? Correct?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I think the biggest reason why the Nuggets lost tonight, though, was because Michael Porter and Eric Gordon, they didn't step up like they were supposed to. Gordon and Porter combined to shoot 9 of 23 from the floor. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic had great games, but they didn't get great performances from their supporting cast. Meanwhile, the Suns had, you know, some production from Payne, from Shamet, like I mentioned earlier. Ayton chipped in with 8 points. So I thought that was the biggest difference in the game, Jonathan. I thought Aaron Gordon, I get him and Eric Gordon for the Clippers mixed up sometimes. Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., they only shot 9 of 23 tonight. And I think for the Nuggets to be successful, they need more production from their supporting cast. And like I was just talking to my cousin about this before we got on. To me, tonight's game, specifically game 4, I want to know what you think about this. I felt like game 4 was more about Jamal Murray and Jokic versus Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And to me, for the Denver Nuggets to be successful, they can't have it be Jokic and Murray versus Durant and Booker. They need it to be their supporting cast and one great performance from either Murray or Jokic
versus Kevin Durant and Booker. Does that make sense? I think in order for the Nuggets to win, they don't need to be the two stars versus the two stars. They needed to be their supporting cast chipping in. That's what we saw in games 1 and games 2 in Denver. Remember, game 1, Jamal Murray balled out, but they had some great production from their other supporting cast members. And then in game 2, I believe Jokic did pretty good in game 2, and Murray struggled, but they had some production from their other supporting cast members. If you're the Denver Nuggets and you Michael Malone, you don't want to have this be Jokic and Murray versus Durant and Booker, because I believe Durant and Booker will win that matchup between Jokic and Murray. So I think in order for the Nuggets to be successful in this series, they need their supporting cast to step up, because I believe that they have the better supporting cast between the two teams. So they need their cast to step up.
They're deeper, absolutely. They're more complete when you look at their roster and when you look at them on paper. Exactly. And they can't just settle. They can't look for Jokic, to carry the load by himself. That's not how you're going to win against this Phoenix Suns team. Like you said, you need the supporting cast to show up as well. Jokic was being the facilitator. He was being the creator. And, he has a unique skill set for a guy of his size. I mean, we're talking about a 7-foot big man here. And I told you the other day, he plays a lot like a guard, Yeah. And like our good friend here has just said, Jokic can score 50 and take an L. Absolutely. If the supporting cast is not showing up. And if you got a guy like Devin Booker going absolutely ballistic on the opposing team, then you're going to be in for a long night. And that's what we saw. And now we have a series. It is now a series, because now all of a sudden Booker goes off. And this is in 2 consecutive games now. You see it with Devin Booker. He is one of the best offensive basketball players in the world. Okay, I think that's fair to say, right? That's fair to say. You look at him; he's very distinctive. He's prolific. And he's just, when he gets into a groove and when he finds a rhythm, he's just impossible to stop. You there, Trey? It appears we have lost Trey. Trey? You there? It appears we have lost Trey. But what I was saying is that Devin Booker is absolutely special, right? He's at times he's unguardable, and his ability to create looks off the dribble, make contested shots, get to the basket, and score at 3 levels is special. And I mean that's what you saw again tonight. This guy has shown on numerous occasions that he can take over ball games and that he can be very dominant. And he has weaponized this Phoenix Suns offense with his incredible play and his mastery. What we're seeing is a one-of-a-kind player. Not the best on defense all the time, but, I mean, he's part of what they do in Phoenix. High-flying offense. And he fits in really well with the Phoenix Suns. Look at what he did tonight. He should probably be considered the best shooting guard in the league. I mean, that might be saying a little bit too much. Or is that a fair statement? Is that a fair assessment to say that he might be one of the best shooting guards in the league, if not the best in the league?
You talking about Devin Booker?
I'm talking about Devin Booker. Absolutely. Oh, we got our guy back. We got Trey back.
Yeah. My bad. You're good. I would say that he's one of the best shooting guards in the NBA. I'm not so sure I would say he is the best. I would say he's definitely one of the best shooting guards in the NBA, Jonathan. I think it's a lot of other shooting guards who deserves consideration, like Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell. It's so many great guards in the NBA. I don't know. Devin Booker is definitely in that conversation though for top tier shooting guards in the NBA. And I've been impressed with Devin Booker because Kevin Durant is getting a lot of the attention, from a defensive standpoint by the opposing team. So Devin Booker has to step up and hit shots for the Suns to have a chance to win ball games, Jonathan. And I feel like he's done a great job, especially in this Nugget series, of stepping up and elevating his game, hitting timely shots. And there's spurts where Devin Booker can score 8-10 points straight. So Monty Williams can depend on Booker to carry the offense if he puts the ball in Booker's hands, and he can make things happen. So I love the way Devin Booker is playing. And we got Trey Michael Riggs on here. He says Devin Booker is the best shooting guard in the league right now, and the gap between first and second isn't close as of right now. I would make a legitimate argument.
I love his energy. I love his energy. I love his.
And I would say right now, honestly, outside of maybe Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker is playing the best basketball in the playoffs right now. Outside of Jimmy Butler and maybe I would throw Anthony Davis in there, but Anthony Davis is so inconsistent. I would say Booker and Butler are more consistent than Davis is, but I think those are the three best players right now in the NBA who's playing the best. Not necessarily the best, but they're playing the best. Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker, and Anthony Davis. So Devin Booker is definitely playing at an elite level right now.
Oh, no question. He is definitely balling and playing at an elite level right now. He scores in transition whenever he wants. He hits 3-pointers. And I mean, there wasn't really a single aspect of the game where the Nuggets were good at defending him or came up with an answer to stop him. They're going to have to probably double team him, and there was times where it looked like he walked into relatively uncontested 3-point looks and had some easy buckets, and some easy shots. But Denver's going to have to play their game. They're going to have to be more aggressive on defense. They're going to have to commit to playing defense. This is who they are. That's their identity. That's their DNA. They defend very well. They're tough.
Yeah.
They have to get back to playing defense, because that is a recipe for success for Denver, and it has worked. So now Denver goes back home, and hopefully they can figure it out. They're going to have to figure it out in a hurry if they want to beat this Phoenix Suns team, because they're definitely going to have to be more aggressive in the way they defend an offensive weapon like Devin Booker.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be aggressive. Now, I like what they did on the offensive side of the floor. Jamal Murray was spectacular as always. Jokic had 50-plus points. He was getting out in transition, finishing strong at the rim.
Yeah.
Basically bullying people inside, getting his touches, getting his shots. But obviously that wasn't good enough. I don't care how many points you put up. You have to defend. You especially against a team with a lot of offensive firepower, and the Suns have that, and they can clearly unload on you because they have a surplus of talent. You even minus Chris Paul, they're still a good team. Can you imagine if Paul was on the floor? I understand that Chris Paul's a step slower. All you got to do is meet him 90 feet on the floor, and you can make life difficult for him, because that takes away their ability to set screens and stuff like that. Because we all know the Suns like to set screens. They like to set screens. They like to run the floor.
Yeah.
They like to get people open because they can space the floor really well. And then they could attack at the rim as well, too. So the Phoenix Suns look really good. It's a different series now. It's a different animal.
Jonathan, I want to tell you this too, but I cannot believe that heading back to Denver for a pivotal game 5, I'm shocked that we're tied at 2 games apiece. Remember, we thought after game 2, we thought the Suns were all but dead. I'm gonna be honest, I counted the Suns out. I don't know about how you felt. I thought the series was over. I really
I
did.
did too. I'm with you. I thought the series was over. I had counted them out. I didn't even think they had what it took to make it a series.
Agreed.
But when it mattered the most, they came together. They figured it out with their season on the line, really, because they were down 2-0.
And
they figured it out.
Yeah, and I remember I told you, I said, in order for them to turn this into a series, they got to win both games in Phoenix. And they won both games.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Kind of like another team we're about to get into, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah. Agreed.
Man, James Harden, he has turned back the clock. And he is really looking like the James Harden of old. James Harden actually showed up. Yes, he is looking like the James Harden that we knew and loved in Houston. And a lot of us really thought his best days were behind him. I myself thought his best days were behind him. I didn't think he still had the ability to score or drop 30-plus points in a game. He has proved me wrong. He has silenced me. He has made a fool out of me. Because he performed really well today. And he was playing with a purpose because he invited that one young man to the game. And it's such a beautiful story. It was moving and touching that he invited this kid to the game. We're talking about the kid that was shot during the mass shooting that took place on the campus of Michigan State. The kid survived the shooting, but he is paralyzed from the waist down. And James Harden had been communicating with him, and he has been in touch with him, and he promised to invite him to a game. And that promise was made on Sunday as the kid was sitting near the court and in, I believe, a press box to take in a basketball game. And, you can see that he enjoyed the moment. After the game, when James Harden was speaking with the reporter, he then took off his shoes. Harden took off his shoes, signed the shoes, and gave them to the young man. His name is John. I don't know how you really pronounce his last name. Or something like that. But his first name is John. And, he was a victim, one of the shooting victims in that unimaginable, devastating mass shooting that happened a few months ago. Great to see that he's still alive and he's able to tell the story. And James Harden has befriended this young man. James Harden has talked to him. And I think James Harden was just on fire, man. I think that gave him a purpose.
Yeah.
Because he talked a little bit about it after the game, and I think he was on a mission. James Harden was on a mission. James Harden wanted to win that game for that young man, and he did win the game. He delivered on his promise, not only by getting him in the arena, but also putting on quite a show for the young man that was able to witness it all.
Yeah, I agree, Jonathan. I thought that James Harden played, he was inspired. That's what it was. I thought the young man being in attendance, it inspired James Harden. He had 42 points, hit a key go-ahead three-point shot that put the Sixers up by 1 point in the final 10 seconds. I thought James Harden set the tone. I thought in the second half, when the Celtics made an effort to stop Embiid, because I thought Al Horford did a great job on Embiid in the second half, Jonathan. So the Sixers needed James Harden to step up because I thought Al Horford did a great job defending Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter and overtime. So shout out to James Harden, man. He had a tremendous game 1 and game 4 of this series. And like you said, man, the kid being in attendance, I felt like it inspired James Harden and he was motivated and he played with a purpose today. And we have a series now heading back to Boston for a game 5, tied at 2 games apiece. But James Harden was definitely the player of the game for sure.
Yeah, he deserved the game ball after that one. And we got another comment here. James Harden, respect for that. Yes, absolutely. Respect for that. That was a very cool gesture. Very, very humbling, you know, and what it does is that it you know, it restores a sense of humanity is what it does. You know,
Yeah.
And it reminds you that these players are human. And that's what you saw there. You saw humanity. You saw a lot of love. You saw a lot of compassion. You saw a lot of empathy. It was just that was just a beautiful scene. You know, it kind of moved me to tears a bit to see that, you know, but it was inspirational. And James Harden, man, he felt obligated to score and erupt the way he did with that guy in attendance, and it was just nice to see. Harden is holding the weight of all of Philly on his shoulders. Absolutely, there's a lot of pressure on James Harden, and James Harden also realizes this, that time is running out. You know, the NBA, your NBA career is only a limited time. And you only have so many opportunities to try to finally win an NBA championship. I mean, he is still searching for his first NBA ring. And every place else he's been, it hasn't worked out. I think this is his best chance, and he realizes that this is his best chance and could be his last chance to win an NBA championship. You know, so Harden, man, he was catching and shooting. I mean, that is really not normally Harden's thing, but he was out there knocking down shots, raining 3-pointers. It was, I mean, it was vengeance James Harden. It was James Harden from the past is what we saw.
Yeah, but Jonathan,
there is much riding on this for the Sixers. There's much riding on their season right now.
Oh, you know, for sure.
You look at the Sixers, the current shaky status as a contender for the NBA title. Doc Rivers' future is uncertain. Where will James Harden be this time next year? I mean, all of those things are going to be questions that have to be answered if they fall short and if they don't beat Boston in this series. But you know what? Even though this was a feel-good story and this was a great bounce-back win for the Sixers, I still like the Celtics to win this series because you know what? The Celtics could have won this game. Had Marcus Smart got that ball off in time, it could have been heartbreak in Philadelphia. And I mean, that place would have been quiet. It would have sounded dead in that place like a mortuary had he knocked down that shot. And he had 2 opportunities. He had a chance to end it before the end of regulation. Didn't. It went to overtime. He missed the shot. This time he makes the shot, but the ball was clearly still in his hands when the red lights came on and when the buzzer sounded.
Yeah. And Jonathan, I want to say something about the Sixers too. I agree with you. I thought that James Harden's performance today was also timely. Because to your point, I feel like Doc Rivers' future is uncertain, and we don't know how long the Sixers organization wants to keep Harden and Embiid together in Philly. And so for me, I felt like if the Sixers lose this series in 5 games and the it's a gentleman's sweep, I felt like there would be changes in that Sixers organization, whether that's Doc Rivers being fired, whether that's the Sixers moving on from James Harden, whatever the case may be. I felt like if the Celtics beat the Sixers in 5 games and it's a gentleman's sweep, there will be changes in Philly. But if the Sixers can push this series to a possible 7-game series, and even if they lose, Jonathan, to the Celtics, I still believe that the organization will have confidence in this core to get it together maybe next year and give it one more try. You know what I'm saying? Like if they go a tough, long 7-game series with the Celtics and they lose in game 7, but it's a competitive game 7, I believe that the Sixers organization will bring this core back and try one more time. But if you go out in 5 against the Celtics, they probably would have made some changes. So I thought James Harden's performance was not only important, but very, very pivotal to keep this core together. And now it's a 3-game series. And anything can happen in a 3-game series. Best 2 out of 3. And I thought also down the stretch, there were some things that happened that was miscues by the Celtics, Jonathan. And I want to get your opinion on it. Number one, in regulation, the Celtics had a chance to win the game, and they got the rebound. Joe Mazzulla decides not to call a timeout. So the Celtics, they bring the ball up the court. Tatum drives, kicks the ball at the Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart has a great look, Jonathan. He has a great look to win the game and put the Celtics up 3-1 and pretty much end the Sixers season. But he missed the go-ahead 3-point game-winning potential shot. They go to overtime. In overtime, they were up 2. Celtics 115, Sixers 113. Embiid has the ball in the paint. For whatever reason, Jaylen Brown decides to come down and try and double Embiid, leaves Harden open. Embiid makes the right basketball play, kicks the ball out to Harden. Harden hits the game-winning shot. And then after that, the Celtics, they followed that up on the ensuing possession. They had another chance, Jonathan, to call a timeout and draw up a play that will be the best possible play to win the game. Instead, Tatum brings the ball up the court. They get into their set late. Or Marcus Smart might have brought the ball to the court. I can't remember exactly who brought the ball to the court. But Tatum basically got going late with like 5 seconds on the shot clock left. When they got the ball back, I think they had like 14 or 15 seconds. They could have went for a quick 2. And even if you don't make the shot, you can foul and possibly call a timeout to set up a potential game-time 3-point attempt. So I thought Joe Mazzulla, his inexperience showed at the end of that game, Jonathan, and I think that's the reason why the Sixers were able to win that game.
Yeah, there was a lot of mismatches and questionable rotations and substitutions and blown defensive assignments that I noticed too late in that game. And when a guy is on fire like that, you don't want to leave him open. You don't want to leave James Harden open.
Exactly.
You don't want to give him too much space to work. And that's what they did. And, they paid for it in a big way. And the Celtics, man, they can't be going soft on defense because defense, like I said earlier, it's the name of their game. It's the name of their game.
Jonathan, I thought I should ask you a question. I felt like in that moment, if Embiid makes that shot, the game is tied. So you still got a chance to win the game on the next possession. You can't give up a game-winning 3-point shot. Do you agree that Jaylen Brown made a huge mistake?
I agree. Jaylen Brown did make a huge mistake, and it's
Agreed.
probably kicking him in his rear end
Yeah.
after making a mistake. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one you wish you can have back. But
Exactly.
it's a little bit too late now. All you could do is make adjustments and go into the next game with your head up, hoping that the next game delivers a better outcome. That's the only thing you could do at this point. You have to put this game behind you, move on, and try it the next game and see how it goes in the next game. But I'm sure there's things that they're gonna do better. There's gonna be things they're gonna have to do better because look, this Suns. I mean, excuse me, the Suns, the Sixers team was moving consistently, creating the improved spacing that Rivers had been all but begging for in this entire series. It seems, and his team created for one another, which is something he often preaches, right? For his team to create for one another. And you saw the shot creation. You saw the ball movement. You saw the spacing on the floor. And that's what has changed this series is the Sixers Sutton style of play. The way they changed things up. The guys huddle asked us, who do you guys have winning the series? I'm still banking on the Celtics. My pick is the Celtics. I have the Celtics in 5.
Yeah.
And the reason I like the Celtics is because they were there a year ago.
Yeah. I also think, Jonathan, the Celtics are a better, more complete team than the Sixers are. Like I give a lot of credit. I give a lot of credit to James Harden for his performance today. He had a great performance in game 1. But the Celtics, honestly, as crazy as it sounds, and I know people might think I'm crazy for thinking this, but I feel like the Celtics could easily have already won this series. I mean, I know game 1, they lost by 4 points. James Harden hits that game-winning shot over Al Horford. But the Celtics could have won game 1. Today, if Marcus Smart hits that 3-point shot, the Celtics are up 3-1 going back to Boston. Feeling real good about game 5. Games 2 and 3, the Celtics outplayed the Sixers significantly. So I think the Celtics are still the better team. I still believe that the Celtics have a better duo with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, even over James Harden and Joel Embiid. I also don't know if Harden is going to be able to follow this type of performance up with another great performance. So I think the Celtics will win game 5, Jonathan. And I think game 6 in Philly will determine whether or not we go to a game 7, or because I think the Celtics can close out the Sixers in 6. And I think I don't see the Sixers winning in Boston in game 5. I don't. Do you?
No, I don't see that happening. In that hostile environment, no. I think the Celtics will take care of business at home.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think
Dylan, that look what Dylan writes. Dylan says if Sixers lose, Doc gotta go. I agree. He is what's holding them back.
Let me ask you something.
He is what's holding them back, though. That's true.
Let me ask you something. And Dylan, I want your opinion on this too. Like, what if the Celtics are just better than the Sixers, though? Like y'all saying that if the Sixers lose, Doc gotta go. But coming into the series, we all said the Celtics were going to beat the Sixers. So we all feel like the Celtics have the better basketball team. If the Celtics are a better team than the Sixers are, it's only so much I can blame Doc Rivers for. I'm not saying Doc Rivers is the NBA Coach of the Year, but I'm saying how much blame does Doc deserve if the Celtics are just outright better than the Sixers are? Because I think that the Celtics, again, their duo of Tatum and Brown is better than Harden and Embiid. I also believe that the Celtics have a deeper team than the Sixers have. And I think that the Celtics, they have another level that they can get to that I don't believe the Sixers can necessarily get to. Like, I think it's a better chance or a more likely possibility of the Celtics blowing out the Sixers than the Sixers blowing out the Celtics. So considering the Sixers don't have the better duo, they don't have the more complete team, like, why do y'all believe that Doc Rivers would have to be fired if they lose this series, when in reality they just might lose the series to a better team?
You know what, man? Doc Rivers has had time to reverse fortunes in Philly. He's had enough time to turn it around and to finally guide that team not just into the playoffs, but deeper into the playoffs and to the NBA Finals. And it hasn't happened yet. And we all know Doc Rivers' resume looks good during the regular season. It's the regular season that everyone calls into question because we know that his teams have always fallen short during the postseason. We've seen that with Doc Rivers time and time again. That is nothing new. That is nothing new. So eventually, if you don't win, you're going to be on the hot seat. That's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
You won't keep your job if you don't win in this league. And that's the issue right there.
I get it. I just me personally, Jonathan, I just don't believe the Sixers are that good. Like, I think Embiid is a great player, won NBA MVP. I think James Harden is inconsistent. I think Tyrese Maxey, sometimes his offense comes and goes. I just don't believe in the Sixers like that. Like,
I don't either. I don't believe in.
Honestly, I think watching this series, the Celtics don't really take the Sixers serious. And I know it may sound. I know people are gonna be like, "What are you?" To me, the Celtics play down to their competition, and they are the type of team that if they got a lead, they don't put their foot on your neck. Like the Celtics, they were up 2-1 today, so they were a little bit more lax, and they didn't come out with the urgency in Game 4 the way that the Sixers came out with. I expect the Celtics to play better at home in Game 5, but the Celtics play down their competition. Jonathan, in the first round, remember that series against the Hawks? Went 6 games? We know the Celtics way better than the Hawks are. And in that series, it went 6 games. So, for whatever reason, the Celtics play down to their competition, and I believe that the Celtics still have confidence that they can beat the Sixers, turn it up a notch. So, I just feel like the Sixers, to me, I don't think that they're real championship contenders, but they are playing well, and they are 2 games away from the Eastern Conference Finals. But I still think the Celtics will win this series in 6 games.
I agree. I think it's fair to say that every coach, to respond to this comment here, I think it's fair to say that every coach is the fall guy when the team goes wrong, because when things go wrong for any team in any professional sport, because look, here's the thing. You can't fire the players, right? So, Of course, the fall guy is going to be the head coach. And there are a lot of people that wildly praises Doc Rivers for his excellent coaching and his style of coaching. But after, 2 gut-wrenching early playoff exits and now another playoff exit, and this has become his history, right? We know that, we've seen a lot of his teams get bounced out of playoffs quite early. Sometimes they can't even get out the first round. So I think he does find himself on a hot seat if they don't win this year. And I think if they don't win, he's out of a coaching job. I think they will finally cut ties with him.
Yeah.
If they don't win. And he knows that. I think he knows that he's coaching for his job. I think he kind of senses it, at least.
Yeah. But my question after that, though, Jonathan, my question always that I have when teams fire coaches, who are you going to replace Doc Rivers with? Because before, it was Brett Brown's fault. Remember, Brett Brown coached in Philly. Brett Brown didn't get it done. They fired Brett Brown. Now they bring in Doc Rivers. At some point, you got to look at your core, and maybe, just maybe, your core of players isn't good enough. That's what, at some point, it got to be your players. This was Trey Michael Riggs. I agree with Dylan. Harden is playing prime basketball. Embiid is MVP. They signed James Harden, old teammates House and Tucker. Maxey is supposed to be a great scorer, and they gave Toby a bag. But let me ask Trey, this question for Trey Michael Riggs. Do you think that this Sixers team, the way that they are constructed, is a championship roster? I don't. Like, Harden to me is washed. Yes, Harden has his moments where he can turn back the clock. But can you get that consistently over a 7-game series? I say the answer is no. Embiid is injury prone. As great as Embiid is, I think Embiid deserved NBA MVP. I believe that Joel Embiid is easily a top 10 player. And this season, he was a top 3 player in the NBA. Maxey is, sometimes his offense comes and goes. Tobias Harris, he's a no-show at times. I just don't believe in this Sixers roster and the way that they are constructed. Now, the Celtics, on the other hand, I believe Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics organization did a great job putting together this Celtics team. Like, I know they didn't win the finals last year, and they lost to the Warriors, Jonathan. But they lost to the Warriors because of Steph Curry. Steph Curry put on a clinic in that finals. So I just don't believe that the Sixers are necessarily good enough. And if you fire Doc Rivers, if they lose in this series, I believe that he's the fall guy. We got to blame somebody. Let's blame Doc. And again, first it was Brett Brown. Now it's Doc Rivers. You're going to bring someone else in and still have the same issue. And that's this Sixers team is not built like a championship contender from a player standpoint.
I see where you're coming from.
And if Jonathan, if the Sixers beat the Celtics in this series, I'll be the first to tell you I was wrong. I'll be the first. I'll come on here with you and I'll tell you I was wrong. But I just think the Celtics are like a significantly more better team to me.
But I believe in Embiid. Embiid, Harden, and Maxey should be all you need.
Really? What?
Maxey has to be more consistent.
I wish Dylan could come on with us. And inconsistent.
Maxey can go off, but he has to be more, engaged.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Maxey has to be. You can't have 4 points one night and then 20-something points another night. It just doesn't work like that. I'm
gonna give you a comparison, Jonathan.
We need more from Tyrese Maxey.
I got a comparison for you. Do you believe that Maxey is better than Austin Reeves? I don't. They battle on the same level. I think Maxey is a little bit more explosive than Reeves is, but they battle on the same level. Don't you agree?
And for the most part with Maxey is that he's a streaky shooter. He is explosive though, but he's a streaky shooter.
He's explosive. Yeah. But
right.
I don't know. Austin Reeves has showed me something this postseason. And I'm not saying that Austin Reeves is an all-star, but
the Lakers wouldn't be in the position they're in without Austin Reeves.
Exactly.
Let's just keep that 100.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said, like, who you taking, Maxey or Reeves? I guess it depends on who you ask.
All this offense does is play my dude Sonny in the building, man. What's going on? Mr. Hopkins? All this offense does is play the 2-man game with Harden and Embiid, and everyone just waiting for them to at the 3-point line. Nobody else moves without the ball. That's a good point.
Yeah. And you know what else? You know what else, Jonathan? Someone else who we ain't talking about enough? Tobias Harris. They need more from Tobias.
I said that today, actually. Yeah. I actually said that this could be a different series if they get more from Tobias Harris.
Yeah. Yeah. Now
they have a lot of good players on the team, but they don't get enough production from those guys.
Agreed. And
they have a lot of talent.
Yeah. Another thing too, man, and everybody's listening. I want to try to chime in on this because it's something I noticed when I watched the Celtics. For whatever reason, to me, they don't go to Jaylen Brown enough in clutch situations. Like I noticed that they had an offense run through Tatum, and Tatum is a great player. I think Tatum has,
That's true. That's true.
I think they should run more through Jaylen Brown in clutch situations. There are times and just go where Jaylen Brown don't touch the basketball. For whatever reason, Joe Mazzulla does not give Jaylen Brown opportunities to touch the basketball in late game situations. And I don't understand for the life of me. Can you hear me?
You're cutting in and out a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear now.
My bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah.
We lost him. Audio's cutting in and out. But yeah, to answer the questions and some of you guys' comments, yeah, Celtics, yeah, they do play down to their competition, kind of like what the Lakers do. The Lakers do that as well. They have a tendency to play down to their competition as well. So it's not surprising. I feel like a lot of great teams play down to their competition. I don't know why that is. I don't know why a team feels relaxed or as if they can kind of chill a little bit. No, you don't take days off.
Yeah.
No, you give it 110% of your effort all the time.
The Celtics do that a lot, though, Jonathan. They do it a lot.
They do that a lot.
And that's the problem. But like I was saying earlier about Jaylen Brown, I don't know if y'all got a chance to hear what I said before I got cut out, but I just think Joe Mazzulla should go to Jaylen Brown more in clutch situations in the fourth quarter. But he goes to Tatum a lot. And I ain't knocking them going to Tatum. Like, I've been watching the Celtics all year. I love Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is my favorite player in the NBA. But sometimes you need to go to Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown can get past his man and get to the rim. And I thought in the first quarter, Jaylen Brown, he set the tone for the Celtics, Jonathan. Jaylen Brown had like 13 or 14 points in the first quarter, and in the rest of the game, I think he only had like 9 or 10 points. He finished with 23 points, but I feel like Jaylen Brown sets the tone, and Jason Tatum, as the game goes along, he gets into a rhythm from a scoring perspective. Remember in the first half, Tatum had maybe 2 points. He didn't do well in the first half.
Right.
But yeah, I just think Mazzulla need to go more to Jaylen Brown in clutch situations and instead of going to Tatum every single time down the floor.
Yeah. I think you're right. He could be more of that it factor down the stretch.
Yeah.
For Celtics, and we've seen what Brown can do. Jaylen Brown is one of the best wing players in the league. And that's the thing that the Celtics are built on, right? Strong wing play. Yeah. And they get that high level of production from Jaylen Brown.
Agreed.
So I think, you definitely got to give him more touches. You definitely got to get him more involved in the offense and let him do his thing in the closing minutes of the game. I feel like he's more of that intense closer. And that's been the kind of the knock on Jason Tatum, right? Is that he's not this clutch performer. Is that he's not a finisher.
Yeah.
He's not an elite closer. he doesn't really have that killer instinct. Jaylen Brown has more of that killer instinct. So yes, I'm with you there. Go to Jaylen Brown.
Well, I think they should go to like whichever player. What does the game dictate? And
Right.
I don't like. You got to think Tatum is being guarded by the opposing team's best defender. So usually in clutch situations, the Sixers are putting PJ Tucker on Tatum. And PJ Tucker is a great defender, Jonathan. He's a great defender. So I understand why sometimes it's difficult for Tatum to score. You got PJ Tucker guarding you. And then Jaylen Brown, he has James Harden guarding him. And as great as James Harden is offensively, defensively, James Harden is a liability. So I would give the ball to Jaylen Brown in this particular matchup in clutch situations more so than Tatum because of his matchup. And this is something that a head coach is supposed to notice. Like, this is something a head coach is supposed to be able to see. And Dylan just made up a great point. Does Boston sweep Philly with Udoka at the helm? I believe the Celtics would beat the Sixers with Udoka as their head coach in 5 games. There's no way that this series will be going 6 games with Udoka as their head coach. And I told you this last week, Jonathan. The Celtics, they had a certain respect for Udoka that they don't have for Mazzulla. They respected Ime Udoka, man. Say whatever you want about Ime Udoka, him off the floor. As a head coach, Ime Udoka was on his way to being one of the best coaches in the NBA. That's why I love the hire for the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets hit a home run hiring Ime Udoka. And I just feel like the Celtics team, they respected Udoka more than they currently respect Mazzulla.
I don't know if it's necessarily respect. I think it's the fact that it's a different style, right? A different coaching style. I wouldn't say that these players, these men don't respect Mazzulla. I don't think it's that. I just think that it was different when Udoka was there because of how he changed the culture of the team to create such a monster out of his players. You know, that's what he did, you know, in such a short time there. And in his first year as a head coach, he was amazing. You had to give him credit for his defensive adjustments, particularly on Giannis. How we saw how, you know, he made the adjustments, how he preached the importance of defense.
Yeah,
and that's a guy who was a student of the game. You gotta look at where Udoka came from. Udoka came from the Greg Popovich coaching tree.
Yeah,
he learned from one of the best. He learned from a genius. So he took those principles and applied it to his coaching style. Yeah. And I think that's what made the Boston Celtics the team they were a year ago. Things are different with him not on the sideline. I get it. But he created a system for both the offense and the defense. And he created a system where all of his players can thrive in.
Yeah, Jonathan, you mentioned how great they did against Giannis last year in the playoffs. Remember in the first round, they did a number on Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They swept Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant right out of the playoffs. Kevin Durant was frustrated in that series against the Celtics. So not only did they do a good job against Giannis, they did a great job against Kyrie and Kevin Durant as well. And I want to be clear about what I'm saying. I don't think that the Celtics players, I don't think that they don't have no respect for Mazzulla. I just think that they got more respect for Udoka. Doesn't mean they don't respect Mazzulla. Doesn't mean that they don't like the kind of coach that he is. But I believe that there are certain coaches who can get more out of you as a player. Just like the
Yeah.
look at the Golden State Warriors. As much credit as we give Steve Kerr for for being the coach of the Warriors during their championship and their dynasty that they built, we got to give Mark Jackson credit for being there and helping the development of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. We want to give Steve Kerr all the credit because he came in and he basically has done a great job as their head coach during their dynasty. But let's not forget about the impact that Mark Jackson had on Steph Curry and Klay Thompson before Steve Kerr showed up in Golden State. We cannot undermine the importance and the value of Mark Jackson and what it meant to that championship organization before Steve Kerr took over at the helm.
And Udoka was that guy because he built a switching system. He established that aggressive mindset.
Yeah.
And I mean that's what was the difference last year because Udoka was able to unlock the group's potential by shuffling guys. He knew how to sub and rotate his players, knew what players to have this guy defend who and all of that. So it worked. It worked. The experiment worked. It's unfortunate that, the Celtics parted ways because we all know about the scandal and what happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just an unfortunate ending to his time spent in Boston. He will still be there today. If it wasn't for that sex scandal.
Yeah.
As you can call it,
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. But I got the Celtics winning game 5, Jonathan. Do you got them winning game 5?
Yes, I got them winning game 5.
So do I. And I don't think it's gonna be close. I think they'll beat the Sixers and take care of business at home. And I think they'll have an opportunity Thursday night in Philly to close out the Sixers and get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, before we get out of here, let's talk about your Lakers real quick.
Obviously, and you know what? Before we get into that, I just want to read some of these comments. I'm not going to spend too long on the comments before. But Marcus Smart, yeah, he did say that the other day. That's true. They were freestyling. Let's see, Dylan, Boston trying to play pickup basketball.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. You can't play like you're at a park. I agree. You can't. You got to play professional. You're in the NBA. I get it. Pick up basketball at times with all NBA teams. Yes, they play like they're at Rutgers Park or the local park around the corner from here. Kerr instilled winning basketball instead of just hooping. Signed vets and depth and brought a different nature to the Warriors.
Let me respond to that real quick. Go back.
But you know what? You can't ignore the fact that Mark Jackson has something to do with that too.
Exactly. Hey, real quick, Jonathan, can you pull that comment back up?
Yep.
Trey Michael Riggs, I agree with you 100%, bro, about Kerr and how he instilled winning basketball. But I just think you got to give some credit to Mark Jackson and the development of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history. You got to give Mark Jackson some credit for that. I think Steve Kerr did a great job. He came in and basically took the Splash Brothers to another level. But Mark Jackson was in Golden State, and he was with Steph, with Klay, before they became household names. He got to get some credit for them becoming a dynasty. I'm not saying that he deserves all the credit, but he deserves some credit for them becoming a dynasty. Kerr did a great job being able to, I would say, like, I think Kerr did a great job being able to still play at a high level and keep them striving for greatness, considering that they already had expectations. Like, I thought that's what Kerr was great at, Like, I thought he did a great job at, because when you win, it's easy to be more lackadaisical and be complacent. I thought Steve Kerr did a great job of continuing to have the Warriors as championship contenders year after year after year. And even though they had already won championships, they continue to be one of the best teams in the NBA. So I would say Steve Kerr has done a great job at keeping this Warriors organization in the championship conversation, because it's easy to become lackadaisical and be complacent. So I'll give Kerr a lot of credit for keeping them in the championship conversation.
Yep, and Dylan makes a good comparison. Jackson and Kerr is the NBA version of Dungy and Gruden. Jackson and Dungy both need that credit.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Agreed.
I agree with that 100%.
Agree 100%. But let's talk a little bit let's talk a little bit about the Lakers before we get out of here. This be our last topic of the night before we wrap up the show. The Lakers, man. And it's becoming a consistent pattern, right? A constant pattern. You're seeing every other game. Game threes, the Lakers, if you look at history, usually prevail in game threes.
Yeah.
Right? They usually respond in blowout fashion, or they just find a way to get the win, which they did. The Lakers took care of business, defended home court,
yeah,
by blowing out the Golden State Warriors in Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals. The final score was 127-97. Okay? And, I'm tired of people whining about the officiating. Okay? Look, there's going to be some bad calls in every game. That's just human nature, right?
Yeah.
Human error. There's going to be calls that you don't agree with, and there's going to be some missed calls. That happens in every sport. That's not just basketball. That's in every professional sport. People are saying the fix is in. People saying these games are rigged. Stop it. Because if this was your team winning, you wouldn't be blaming the referees. How about blaming the Golden State Warriors for turning over the ball as many times as they did?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of turnovers yesterday.
They had a lot of turnovers, and the Lakers capitalized on those turnovers.
They did.
And turned those turnovers into points.
Yeah.
So you want to sit here and blame the officials, but yet you can't protect the basketball, take care of the basketball. And we also ignore what D'Angelo Russell did. I thought D'Angelo Russell was spectacular. The 3 early threes that put the Warriors on their heels. He had a running layup that put the Lakers up 11-4 during his first quarter takeover.
Yeah.
It was a one-man show in the first few minutes when you look at the game.
Yeah.
This guy had his spinning mid-range look, 2 more threes, followed by a layup on the break. He was phenomenal. And all the dimes he handed out, it was a great showing by D'Angelo Russell. It speaks volumes to how capable of a player he is. He showed off his array of skills. I felt like he set a pivotal tone in the game. He had a lot to do with the Lakers having their success yesterday. He was navigating the transition play. The Lakers were able to get out on the floor. They were running. I thought it was a great performance from him. Now, LeBron was a no-show early.
He was.
He forgot that a game was being played yesterday.
In the first half, for sure.
For game 4, I need him to show up on time.
Yeah, he got to be there on time.
He got to be there on time.
Yeah.
And Anthony Davis wasn't really effective early.
Not early, but he was effective. He was effective in the second quarter.
Yeah. As the game went on.
Yeah.
But I thought the Lakers played a damn good game. They extended the lead. You know, they put the Warriors away. The Warriors were done by the third quarter.
Yeah,
The Warriors' night was done.
Yeah, agreed. I thought, Jonathan, I thought that we've been talking about this for the last few weeks now, but the biggest key for the Lakers is going to be if Anthony Davis can continue to dominate on both ends of the floor. That's going to be the biggest reason for the Lakers either winning this series or losing this series. I know you a Lakers fan. I know you've been a Lakers fan all your life. You are a Laker fan at heart, and you love your Lakers. But they can still lose this series, my brother. They can. Because we know Anthony Davis is more than capable of having an inconsistent series. He did it against the Memphis Grizzlies. He had a great performance in game 3 of the last series against the Grizzlies, I believe. And in game 4, he was awful. So we know Anthony Davis is consistent at being inconsistent. And that's the reason why, Jonathan, I still give the Warriors a chance in this series. And I think game 4 is a must win for the Golden State Warriors. They can't go down 3-1. And so I think tomorrow night in Crypto Arena, the Warriors are going to play at their best. And I believe that they're going to perform at a high level, and they're going to show that championship pedigree and what they're made of. It wouldn't surprise me if the Warriors control the game, majority of the game. It's going to be up to the Lakers to keep this game close. That way, in the fourth quarter, LeBron can bring you home. I think the Warriors are going to control the game, majority of the game, but if the Lakers can keep it close, maybe they can steal this game in the fourth quarter. Because usually whichever team gets embarrassed, the next game, that team comes out and they have a sense of urgency, right? So, do you expect the Warriors to come out tomorrow night and throw the first punch kind of at the Lakers? Because I do. What do you think?
Well, if their first round series didn't teach you anything, I don't know what will. Because there was nights that they looked uninspired.
Yep.
And they looked disengaged.
Exactly.
And you look back in that game 6, or was it game 5 in the last series?
Game 5 was in Sacramento, remember?
Yeah, game 5, against the Kings, they were lethargic. No.
That was game 6. That was game 6.
Game 6. There you go. They were basically a no-show in that game. They went AWOL.
They did.
They completely ran away from the arena.
Yep.
And didn't show their faces.
Agreed.
And then that following game, they played with a sense of urgency. When they needed to win on the road, they got it done.
And that's what stop it. Remember the regular season?
Right.
They were 11-30 on the road. 11-30. Right.
So the Dub Nation, you could never rule them out.
You can't.
You would be utterly naive and just plain ignorant to say this team cannot make this a series.
Yeah.
Because when you have 2 of the purest shooters in the game, you can't say that their season is over when they have 2 of the best shooters, because they could get back in the series just like that. And I think they will play with a sense of urgency tomorrow. I think they will tie this series. I think the series is going to be back and forth. Now, is that good for the Lakers? No, because they got older bodies.
Agreed.
They got aging players.
Agreed.
So that's why I think the Lakers sometimes kind of take a breather. I noticed some nights they take a night off.
They do.
Is that to kind of give themselves some rest in between games? Is that to kind of catch their breath so they'll be able to keep up with a very fast and explosive Warriors team as the series continues on? Those are my questions about the Lakers, because some nights you can establish an identity, and then other nights you're like, who the hell is this? What?
Yeah.
Who are we watching? Are we watching the Lakers or the Fakers? And some nights it just feels like that when you watch a Laker game, because like I always say, this is a team that plays with your emotions.
Agreed.
And the Lakers have done that in the playoffs and also during the regular season.
It happened last series, Jonathan. They beat the Grizzlies in Game 4 in LA. And remember, Game 5 in Memphis, they were a complete no-show in the second half in Game 5. I think LeBron was awful in that game in Game 5. And so I think tomorrow night is a pivotal game for the Lakers, because if the Lakers win tomorrow night, Jonathan, and they go up 3-1, I would assume that the Warriors win Game 5. I don't think the Lakers would even take Game 5 serious, because they know they got Game 6 at home and an opportunity to close out the Warriors. Do you agree with that? Like, if the Lakers win tomorrow and they go up 3-1, they're not winning Game 5 and go to State. They'll lose that game. But I think they'll have an opportunity to close out the Warriors in 6 if they win tomorrow. So Game 4 is
that'll be too risky though. You want to get the series over as soon as you can, if you can, especially if you're the Lakers. You want to get rest.
Oh, I agree with that. I don't see them if they couldn't beat Memphis at home. Memphis when they were at home in Game 5, I don't see them beating the Warriors in Golden State.
No, the Warriors are going to make it tough for them. Warriors are going to make it tough. It's not going to be an easy series. It's not a
which is why I think in order for the Lakers to win this series, it got to be 3-1 tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it's 2-2 tomorrow night, and when we come back on tomorrow night, I don't know if the Lakers are going to be able to keep up with the Warriors in those final 3 games, Jonathan. I think the longer this series goes, advantage Warriors.
Yeah.
If the Lakers can,
the Warriors are a tough out. They're a tough out. Indeed.
Exactly. If the Lakers can end this series in 5 or 6 games, advantage Lakers. So I think the Lakers got to get this thing over with quick, man. I know you're a fan. I just don't know if they can keep up with the Warriors as we get deeper. Like
I'm just worried about them running out of gas.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making.
Not having enough offensive firepower to match the intensity level of the Golden State Warriors.
I agree.
That's what's concerning. Dylan says the Dubs winning the next 2 are my good friend Frankie has joined the show and says Lakers already won the series. We just didn't finish the ending.
Hold on now, Frankie. Hold on, Frankie. Don't say that. You're going a little too far now. Don't count Frankie. You count the Dubs out that easily? You count the Dubs out that easily? Come on now. You can't disrespect the defending champion.
That's unwavering faith right there. Has a lot of faith in the Lakers, a lot of confidence.
Come on now.
Hey, confidence is a good thing, though. Confidence is a good thing. And Frankie also said 11-30 on the road, and Lakers was 3-1 on the season.
Yeah, but Frank, this, hold on real quick, Jonathan. Go back to that comment real quick. This will be my response to Frankie saying that the Warriors were 11-30 on the road. I agree with you, Frankie. But what happened in the series against the Kings? We know the Sacramento Kings, they got some of the best fans and they got the best home court advantage in the NBA. And the Warriors beat the Kings in Game 5 and Game 7 in Sacramento. And that's the best home court advantage in the NBA. So, yes, the Warriors were 11-30 on the road, but that was during the regular season. That was the regular season. The postseason is different than the regular season. So, I know you like the Lakers, Frankie, but I wouldn't count on the Warriors being done because they struggled on the road during the regular season. We saw them beat the Kings in Games 5 and Game 7 of the last series. So they're more than capable of being able to win on the road. Guess what? Trust me when I tell you, LeBron James and Anthony Davis both know that the Warriors can beat them in LA. They know that. Jonathan, you know that too.
Yeah, this is a realistic statement right here too. Lakers need 55-60 points from Russell, Dennis, Rue, if I say his name right, I always mess up his name, Reeves, to win tomorrow.
Ooh,
I agree with that.
that's gonna be tough though.
That's gonna be tough, but everyone's gonna have to give a collective effort.
That's gonna be tough, man.
Everyone's gonna have to bring their game tomorrow.
They are.
You agree with Danny knows his stuff. Danny covers the NBA. He's an expert.
Absolutely.
He knows. So I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that statement.
I think tomorrow. I think Klay Thompson's gonna play much better. He didn't play well in game 3, but
Klay went off in game 2.
He played great in game 2. I think we're gonna get game 2 Klay Thompson, not game 3 Klay Thompson. And you know, one thing about Klay Thompson, Jonathan, in the past, in the postseason, Klay Thompson always shows up. Usually it's in game 6. I don't know if you know, they got a thing in Golden State where they talk about Klay and his game 6 performances. I think Klay Thompson's going to have a performance in game 4 like he's had in the past in game 6. So I think Klay Thompson's going to have a big game tomorrow night. I think Steph's going to play well as well. But I think we talk about the supporting cast for the Lakers. The Warriors, they need some help from Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole. They're going to have to step up as well at some point. At some point, Jordan Poole is going to have to step up and play at a high level because the Warriors, they paid Jordan Poole during the offseason last year. After they won a championship, they paid Jordan Poole in the offseason. And everyone was talking about how the Warriors, they're probably going to move on from Draymond. Jordan Poole is the future. Jordan Poole.
After one legendary postseason.
Right.
He went off last season.
He did good, but even last year in the postseason, in the finals, there were times where he was careless with the basketball.
Right. But that's what justified his contract. Is because of that one great postseason run that he had. And
but they might have been too.
What has he done to justify that contract since?
Exactly. And Jonathan, he's careless with the basketball at times.
Yeah, and he takes ill-advised shots.
And then listen, defensively, sometimes he's a liability. He gets lost on defense sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, he got to play better. Like, I don't know if you saw, Snoop Dogg, shout out to Snoop, big-time Lakers fan. Snoop said before the series started, he said Jordan Poole keeps shooting because I love that you missing. Did you see what Snoop Dogg said?
He low-key trolled him, yeah.
He trolled Jordan Poole, yeah.
Yep.
He trolled him for sure. Trey Michael Reed. Yeah, Trey Michael Reed. Yeah.
You can almost disrespect the shot.
Yeah. He shot an ill-advised shot in game 1. When they were down 3, he got the ball. All he had to do was scoot up a little farther and got an easier 3-point attempt. I didn't have a problem with him shooting the basketball in that moment. I had a problem with his shot selection and how deep he was. He could have basically got a little closer and made it an easier attempt. But they need some production from Jordan Poole. And they might have
You and a lot of people had a problem with his shot selection. Even I did. Watching that, I was like, bro, come on, really?
Yeah.
You gotta attempt the shot like that. He gets reckless and wild.
Because he thinks sometimes that he's Steph and he's not.
Yep.
He's not Steph.
Exactly. Yep.
He's not Steph. You're not Steph, bro. Not Steph. You're not Klay. You're not Klay either. You're not Klay Thompson, bro. Like, stop it. They had 54 in game 1 and 48 in game 3, so the 4 of them can do it. So that's Danny. I think he was talking about Dennis Schroeder and D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves.
That's who needs to continue to be who he is, because it seems like he's finding his role with the Lakers, D'Angelo Russell. But they need him to do it on a consistent basis. And if he can, that will pose a threat for the Warriors or anyone else they face.
Rui's playing well, Jonathan. Rui's playing well, too.
Yep.
Rui's playing real well for the Lakers. He really is. But like I said, I think for the Warriors, I think they got to put Steph more in pick and roll situations. Let Steph be a creator. Let Steph create opportunities for others, and allow Klay to run off those screens. They're gonna need Klay. They're gonna need Klay Thompson to definitely play at a high level tomorrow.
And both of those guys are 3-point Mavions.
Yes.
They are. They're 3-point Mavions, man.
They're gonna need that. And I think Wiggins is gonna be an X factor for the Warriors tomorrow night too, Jonathan. Wiggins gonna be key.
He was key in the finals last year. There was one point where people was talking about him being named the finals MVP. I mean, that's how sensational he was in the finals.
Well, he
as a two-way player on both ends of the floor.
He was defending Jason Tatum last year in the finals.
Yep.
Yeah.
And did a pretty good job defending.
Did a great job. For sure. So before we get out of here, Jonathan, it's prediction time. Who do you have winning game 4 tomorrow night? Warriors or Lakers? Who you got?
Warriors.
Oh, you got the okay. You went with the why?
Because I think with the way the Lakers play and just noticing the pattern of the Lakers are going to lose game 4, bounce back in game 5. I think the series goes back and forth. And you talked about how the Warriors usually play with a sense of urgency. When they look like they're down and there's no point of return, they always find a way. They figure things out.
They do.
And so what they do, they go back to the drawing board. They go back to the basics. They go back to the fundamentals. And they play a lot better than they did in the previous game. They're going to make the adjustments. They're going to look at film. They're going to see what they can do better. And I expect them to play a lot of zone on the Lakers.
Yeah.
Expect them to play a lot of zone. Because when they play a lot of zone, they usually win a lot of basketball games. And that usually proves to be a recipe for success for the Warriors. So I expect a lot of zone. I expect them to come out early and attack the Lakers. And they're gonna live and die by the 3 because that's what they do. Yeah. They're gonna try to out rebound the Lakers tomorrow as well.
Yeah. So you got it going 7.
I can see a 7-game series, yes.
Okay. So for me, go ahead, my bad. What you want to say?
No. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say for me, I think game 4 is a matchup in a game where the Warriors will be the better team. I think the Warriors, because they got blew off the floor and completely out of the gym in game 3, I expect the Warriors to come out with a sense of urgency, play with a certain desperation, and I think Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are going to play at a high level. I don't think that Anthony Davis is going to perform in game 4 the way that he did in game 3. I believe that Wiggins and Poole will play better as well. I'm rolling with the Warriors to beat the Lakers tomorrow night in Crypto.com Arena. It's going to be 2-2 headed back to Golden State for a pivotal game 5. I picked the Warriors in 6, and it could possibly still happen, but I don't see the Lakers getting beat 3 times in a row. But I do believe that this series will be tied at 2 games apiece, and in 3 of the 4 playoff series remaining, Jonathan, in Warriors, Lakers, in Celtics, Sixers, and in Suns, Nuggets, we got 2 games apiece by each team with pivotal game 5s coming up. Now I know we about to get out of here, but real quick, it ain't gonna be long. But we ain't gotta be long about this one. Do you think the Knicks or the Heat gonna win tomorrow?
You know what? I wanted to ask you a question actually about that before we get out of here. And my question to you was, does Jimmy Buckets and the Heat have enough to beat the New York Knicks?
Man, it's tough. I believe that the Heat are the. I picked the Heat before the series in 7, and I just feel like Jimmy Butler is the best player on the floor between the 2 teams. But I do expect the Knicks to show some fight tomorrow night, Jonathan. I expect the Knicks to fight.
They're not going to back down.
They're not going to back down.
They're not a pushover team.
They're not a pushover.
Physical. They're very physical. They get out and run.
Yeah.
They have great guard play with Jalen Brunson.
Exactly.
Jalen Brunson has been sensational. Like I've been saying, that was the best offseason signing. Free agency signing.
Agreed.
And a lot of people made a big thing about the Knicks signing him to all that money, but hey, it was justifiable because Look at how he has played.
Yeah.
He's the reason why the Knicks are in the position that they're currently in.
Exactly.
Because of the season he had. And then you had the midseason accusation of Josh Hart, who brings a different mentality and a winning attitude. And he gets it done on both ends of the floor. This is a guy who hustles, dives after loose balls, turns turnovers into points, get back on both ends of the floor. He's a great two-way player. He defends really well. He can make shots on the other end of the floor. And that's what I like about Josh Hart. I think he's a two-way player. He's a great spark off the bench. And he can ignite the offense with his play. And then you have Jalen Brunson initiating things on the floor as well, proving to us time and time again that he is a floor general out there.
Yeah.
The guy that I would like to see get going is Quickly, man. Where has Quickly been?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's hurt though, because he got hurt in that last game. He got banged up.
Quickly is going to be definitely an important X factor for the Knicks.
But Jimmy Butler hobbled and battered, and this man is still out there doing his thing.
He is, and it's crazy because we really got to appreciate the level of basketball that we're seeing nightly, Jonathan. Because if the Knicks and the Warriors both win tomorrow, that means we 2-2 across the board. 2-2 in the Celtics Sixers series, 2-2 in the Heat Knicks, 2-2 in the Suns Nuggets, and 2-2 in the Warriors Lakers. This is like top tier elite basketball that we're seeing right now, and the margin for error is small. It's small. You can't make a lot of mistakes in these games, or you can end up in these games. So it's amazing. If the Knicks Warriors win tomorrow night, we got four pivotal game fives, Jonathan, coming up. And honestly, we at the point in the season where nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing would surprise me. All these teams are good basketball teams. These are all currently the best 8 teams in the NBA playing right now. Maybe the Bucks may have something to say about that. The Bucks did come up short in the first round, but this is some great top tier basketball that we're watching. And Dylan says the Knicks ain't no joke. They're not title contenders, but they won't be pushed aside. Facts. I agree. Which is why, Jonathan, I'm picking the Knicks to win tomorrow night. I got the Knicks tomorrow in Game 4 in Miami.
I can see it. I think these are going to be long series. You're deeper into the playoffs. More challenges presents itself. So yeah, I think we're in for a fight, and we're in for a treat as fans. We got some great series.
We do. So by night's end tomorrow night, Jonathan, you got us 2 games apiece across the board. That's what you got too.
Yeah, I got the Knicks too. Even though Jimmy Butler shows zero resistance and will most likely, score a lot of points, I see him scoring at least 30 or 40 points.
Yeah.
Because he's going to do what he does. He's buckets. But I still think the Knicks, overall, as a collective bunch, I think they'll find a way to get a win and even things up in this series.
But that's what I'm saying. So because I got the Knicks and the Warriors winning tomorrow, so do you.
Yeah, I'm with you. So we both agree.
We both agree. So that means you got every series being 2-2, right? That's what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
So do I. So we in for a treat in the rest of these games, the rest of these series in the conference semifinals. So I can't wait for tomorrow night's games, Jonathan. I know we're gonna talk tomorrow night for sure after tomorrow night's games. Don't forget tomorrow night we got Knicks Heat on TNT, and then we finish up with Warriors Lakers on TNT as well. So I know we'll be back on tomorrow night, ready to talk some basketball for sure.
Yes, we will be back on tomorrow night. And before we get out of here, I want to thank all our viewers for tuning in tonight. Thank you guys. I know there's a variety of choices out there, but thanks for making us a part of your night. It was another smashing success. This show is awesome. We have a lot of fun over here. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. It was another great episode of Speaking with Judgment. We are checking out of here now. You guys have a great night. You guys be safe, stay positive, and do great things. And hope you guys all have a great start to your work week. Tomorrow's Monday. You guys have a wonderful week, and we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Speaking with Judgment. For Trey and myself, have a good night, everyone. Thank you, guys. Take care. Peace.
Peace.